Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtake. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, text number 53 onwards. Hiranmayad andakosha dutthaye sarileshaya tamavishya mahadevu bahuta nirbheda kham nirbheda kham. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Virat Purusha, situated himself in that golden egg which was lying on the water, and he divided it into many departments. Nirbhidya tasya prathamam mukham vani tato abhavat vanya ratho nase pranoto granetayav. First of all, the mouth appeared in him, and then came forth the organ of speech. And with it, the god of fire, the deity who presides over that organ. Then a pair of nostrils appeared, and in them appeared the olfactory sense, as well as prana, the vital air. With the manifestation of speech, fire also became manifested, and with the manifestation of nostrils, the vital air, the breathing process, and the sense of smell also became manifested. So these are the different aspects of the Virat Purusha being manifested. Grana Vayur Abhidetam Lakshini Chakshure Tayo Tasmat Surya Nyabhidetam Karano Shrotram Tato Dishaha. In the wake of the olfactory sense came the wind god who presides over that sense. Thereafter a pair of eyes appeared in the universal form, and in them the sense of sight. In the wake of this sense came the sun god who presides over it. Next, there appeared in him a pair of ears, and in them the auditory sense, and in his wake the Dig Devatas, or the deities who preside over the directions. The appearance of different bodily parts of the Lord's universal form and the appearance of the presiding deities of those bodily parts is being described. As in the womb of a mother, a child gradually grows different bodily parts. So in the universal womb, the universal form of the Lord gives rise to the creation of various paraphernalia. The senses appear, and over each of them there is a presiding deity. It is corroborated by this statement of Srimad Bhagavatam and also by Brahma Samhita that the sun appeared after the appearance of the eyes of the universal form of the Lord. The sun is dependent on the eyes of the universal form. Brahma Samhita also says that the sun is the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Yat chakshuresha savita. Savita means the sun. The sun is the eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Actually, everything is created by the universal body of the Supreme Godhead. Material nature is simply the supplier of materials. The creation is actually done by the Supreme Lord, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. Under my direction does material nature create all moving and non-moving objects in the cosmic creation. So, the universal form is creating everything. Then what does Brahmaji create? So Brahmaji creates after everything is created. Means the prototype is created by the universal form or the Lord, and then Brahmaji takes over. Then he does a secondary creation. So all the different senses, sense objects, and the deities controlling those senses are appearing now in the universe. Nirbibheda virajastha grahomashma vadayastataha tata oshadhyaschasan shishram nirbide Nirvibhide tataha. Then the universal form of the Lord, the Virat Purusha, manifested his skin, and thereupon the hair, mustache, and beard appeared. After this, all the herbs and drugs became manifested, and then his genitals also appeared. The skin is a site of the touch sensation. The demigods who control the production of herbs and medicinal drugs are the deities presiding over the tactile sense. Retastasmadapa sannirvidhyapavekudam gudadapano apanacha mrityu loka bhankara. After this, semen, the faculty of procreation, and the god who presides over the waters, appeared. Next appeared an anus and then the organs of defecation, and thereupon the god of death, who is feared throughout the universe. It is understood herewith that the faculty to discharge semen is the cause of death. Therefore, yogis and transcendentalists who want to live for greater spans of life voluntarily restrain themselves from discharging semen. The more one can restrain the discharge of semen, the more one can be aloof from the problems of death. There are many yogis living up to 300 or 700 years by this process. And in the Bhagavatam, it is clearly stated that discharging semen is the cause of horrible death. The more one is addicted to sexual enjoyment, the more susceptible he is to a quick death. So everything is connected. It's not just one can do whatever he wants and still live happily. No. And see, there is a presiding deity over each and every organ of the body. And how many organs, how many senses and different functions are there in the body. It's amazing. And there's just one body, and then there are different departments of the universe. That's why Krishna needs 33 crore demigods. Hastocha niravidetam balam tabhyam tata swara padocha niravidetam gatistabhyam tato hari. Thereafter, the two hands of the universal form of the Lord became manifested, and with them the power of grasping and dropping things. And after that, Lord Indra appeared. Next, the legs became manifested, and with them the process of movement. And after that, Lord Vishnu appeared. The deity presiding over the hands is Indra, and the presiding deity of movement is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Vishnu appeared on the appearance of the legs of Virat Purusha. Nadyostha nirbhidyanta tabhyo lohitam avritam nadyastata sambhavan uddaram nirabhidhita. The veins of the universal body became manifested, and thereafter the red corpuscles of blood. In their wake came the rivers, the deities presiding over the veins, and then appeared an abdomen. Blood veins are compared to rivers. When the veins were manifested in the universal form, the rivers in various planets were also manifested. The controlling deity of the rivers is also the controlling deity of the nervous system. In Ayurvedic treatment, those who are suffering from the disease of nervous instability are recommended to take a bath by dipping into a flowing river. So there is that connection. So the veins of the universal form are connected with the nervous system, and connected with the rivers. So the rivers, veins, and the nervous system, they're all connected. So if there is any nervous problems or nerve problems, just take bath in the flowing river. So slowly it can be corrected. Kshutpipase tatah syatam samudrastvetayar bhut athasya hridayam hinnam hridyanman uthitam. Next grew feelings of hunger and thirst, and in their wake came the manifestation of the oceans. Then a heart became manifest, and in the wake of the heart the mind appeared. The ocean is considered to be the presiding deity of the abdomen, where the feelings of hunger and thirst originate. When there is an irregularity in hunger and thirst, one is advised, according to Ayurvedic treatment, to take a bath in the ocean. So any problems with the abdomen, especially the dietary problems or digestion problems, indigestion problems, then one should take bath in the ocean. Because the deity of the ocean, Varuna, the presiding deity of the ocean and the abdomen are the same. That is why, I guess, when we go to Jagannath Puri and take bath in the ocean, after that we get really hungry for Jagannath's Prashadam. And we can enjoy that Prashadam to our heart's content. Text 31. Manasash chandrama jata buddhir giram patihi ahankaras tato rudrash chittam chatyas tato bhavat. After the mind, the moon appeared. Intelligence appeared next, and after intelligence, Lord Brahma appeared. Then the false ego appeared, and then Lord Shiva, and after the appearance of Lord Shiva came consciousness, and the deity presiding over consciousness. The moon appeared after the appearance of mind, and this indicates that the moon is a presiding deity of the mind. Similarly, Lord Brahma appearing after intelligence is a presiding deity of the intelligence. And Lord Shiva, who appeared after false ego, is a presiding deity of false ego. In other words, it is indicated that the moon god is in the mode of goodness, whereas Lord Brahma is in the mode of passion. And Lord Shiva is in the mode of ignorance. Lord Shiva is not in the mode of ignorance, is the presiding deity of the mode of ignorance. The appearance of consciousness after the appearance of false ego indicates that from the beginning, material consciousness is under the mode of ignorance. And that one therefore has to purify himself by purifying his consciousness. This purificatory process is called Krishna consciousness. As soon as the consciousness is purified, the false ego disappears. Identification of the body with the self is called false identification or false ego. So the false ego is not just becoming proud of oneself, it's just identifying oneself with the body as false ego. Lord Chaitanya confirms this in his Shikshashtaka. He states that the first result of chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, is that dirt is cleared from the consciousness or the mirror of the mind. And then at once the blazing fire of material existence is over. The blazing fire of material existence is due to false ego, but as soon as the false ego is removed, one can understand his real identity. At that point, he is actually liberated from the clutches of Maya. As soon as one is freed from the clutches of false ego, his intelligence also becomes purified. And then his mind is always engaged upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the chanting removes or purifies the consciousness, removes this covering from the mirror of the dust, mirror of the mind, removes the dust from the mirror of the mind. And then Prabhupada said, at once the blazing fire of material existence is over. Means no more living here, no more taking birth again. And that happens because the false ego is removed. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared on the full moon day as Gaurachandra, or the spotless transcendental moon. The material moon has spots on it, but on the transcendental moon, Gaurachandra, there are no spots. In order to fix the purified mind in the service of the Supreme Lord, one has to worship the spotless moon, Gaurachandra. Those who are materially passionate or those who want to exhibit their intelligence for material advancement in life are generally worshippers of Lord Brahma. And persons who are in the gross ignorance of identifying with the body worship Lord Shiva. Materialists like Hiranyakashipu and Ravan are worshippers of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. But Prahlad and other devotees in the service of Krishna consciousness worship the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. So it depends upon the predominating mode of material nature, then the person worships the deity accordingly, whether it is Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, or Lord Vishnu. Text 62. Ete hi abhyuttita deva nevasyut tapanaya shakan punaravivishu khani tamuthapaitum kramat. When the demigods and presiding deities of the various senses were thus manifested, they wanted to wake their origin of appearance, but upon failing to do so, they re-entered the body of the Virat Purusha, one after another, in order to wake him. In order to wake the sleeping deity, controller within, one has to rechannel the sense activities from concentration on the outside to concentration inside. In the following verses, the sense activities which are required to wake the Virat Purusha will be explained very nicely. So the Virat Purusha, the body is being formed, all the senses are being formed, all the organs are being manifested, and the deities associated with those organs also get manifested. But still, there was no activity in the Virat Purusha. Even Lord Vishnu, who is the presiding deity of the legs of the Virat Purusha, he also appeared. But still, there is no activity because the soul is missing yet. Right? Still, it is missing. So this is how the creation is taking place, the creation of the universe. And this is all happening in an egg. And the egg is lying on the Karan Sagar, the causal ocean. And this is how how complicated all the whole creation is. And how big the whole creation is, that we'll see later on. So text 63. Vahanirvacha mukham bheje nod na uddhatishtat tada virat grane nasike vayur no tadtishtat tada virat. The god of fire entered his mouth with the organ of speech, but the Virat Purusha could not be aroused. Then the god of wind entered his nostrils with the sense of smell, but still the Virat Purusha refused to be awakened. Akshani chakshu shadityo nauditashti tada virat shrotrin karno chadisho na uddhatishti tada virat. The sun god entered the eyes of Virat Purusha with the sense of sight, but still the Virat Purusha did not get up. Similarly, the predominating deities of the directions entered through his ears with the sense of hearing, but still he did not get up. Tvacham Roma Abhiroshadyo na uddhishtat tata virat Retsa Shishaman Mapastu na uddhishtat tata virat. The predominating deities of the skin, herbs, and seasoning plants entered the skin of the Virat Purusha with the air of the body, but the cosmic being refused to get up even then. The god predominating over water entered his organ of generation with the faculty of procreation, but the Virat Purusha still would not rise. Gudam mrityurapanena na uddatiஷ்ഠத்ததா Virat hastavindro balenehu na uddatiஷ்ഠத்ததா Virat. The god of death entered his anus with the organ of defecation, but the Virat Purusha could not be spurred to activity. The god Indra entered the hands with the power of grasping and dropping things, but the Virat Purusha would not get up even then. Vishnu Gatya Charano na uddatiஷ்ಠத்ததா Virat nadir nadya lohitena na uddatiஷ்ಠத்ததா Virat. Lord Vishnu entered his feet with the faculty of locomotion, but the Virat Purusha refused to stand up even then. The rivers entered his blood vessels with the blood and power of circulation, but still the cosmic being could not be made to stir. Kshutriddayam udaram sindhur na uddatiஷ்ಠத்ததா Virat Hirdayam manasa chandro na uddatiஷ்ಠத்ததா Virat. The ocean entered his abdomen with hunger and thirst, but the cosmic being refused to rise even then. The moon god entered his heart with the mind, but the cosmic being would not be roused. Buddhya brahmapi hridayam na uddatiஷ்ಠத்ததா Virat Rudro abhi matya hridayam na uddatiஷ்ಠத்ததā Virat. Brahma also entered his heart with intelligence, but even then the cosmic being could not be prevailed upon to get up. Lord Rudra also entered his heart with the ego, but even then the cosmic being did not stir. Chitten hridayam chaitya kshetragya pravishadyada Virat deva purushaha salilat uddatiஷ்ಠata. However, when the inner controller, the deity presiding over consciousness, entered the heart with reason, at that very moment the cosmic being arose from the causal waters. Yatha prasuptam purusham pranendriya manodhya prabhavanti vinayena nottapta paitumojasa. When a man is sleeping, all his material assets, namely the vital energy, the senses for recording knowledge, senses for working, the mind and intelligence, cannot arouse him. He can be aroused only when the Supersoul helps him. The explanation of Sankhya philosophy is described here in detail in the sense that the Virat Purusha, or the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the original source of all the various sense organs and the presiding deities. The relationship between the Virat Purusha and the presiding deities or the living entities is so intricate that simply by exercising the sense organs which are related to the presiding deities, the Virat Purusha cannot be aroused. It's not possible to arouse the Virat Purusha or to link with the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead by material activities. Only by devotional service and detachment can one perform the process of linking with the Absolute. So the Virat Purusha could not get up by any of the deities controlling different organs or different senses. Only when the Super Soul entered the Virat Purusha, the Virat Purusha got up. So only the Super Soul, when he is pleased with our activities or with our consciousness, then he can link us with the Supreme Lord. Not by our efforts. It's only by mercy of the Supreme Lord, of the Super Soul within our heart. This can be done. Tamasmin pratyagatmanam dhiya yoga pravrittaya bhaktya jnanena vivichayatmani chintayet. Therefore, through devotion, detachment, and advancement in spiritual knowledge acquired through concentrated devotional service, one should contemplate that Super Soul as present in this very body, although simultaneously apart from it. One can realize the super soul within oneself. He is within one's body but apart from the body or transcendental to the body. Although sitting in the same body as the individual soul, the super soul has no affection for this body, whereas the individual soul does. One has to detach himself, therefore, from this material body by discharging devotional service. It is clearly mentioned here, Bhaktya, that one has to execute devotional service to the Supreme. As it is stated in the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita. When Vasudeva, the all-pervading Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is served in completely pure devotion, detachment from the material world immediately begins. The purpose of Sankhya is to detach oneself from material contamination. This can be achieved simply by the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the detachment that Sankhya Yoga emphasizes can be achieved by bhakti only. When one is detached from the attraction of material prosperity, one can actually concentrate his mind upon the super soul. As long as the mind is distracted towards the material, there is no possibility of concentrating one's mind and intelligence upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead or its partial representation, super soul. In other words, one cannot concentrate one's mind and energy on the Supreme unless one is detached from the material world. Means that both the things cannot go hand by hand. Simultaneously, we cannot be attached to the material world and the Supreme Lord. Following detachment from the material world, one can actually attain transcendental knowledge of the absolute truth. As long as one is entangled in sense enjoyment or material enjoyment, it's not possible to understand the absolute truth. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. In Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, it is stated that one becomes joyful in by discharging devotional service. In that joyful attitude, one can understand the science of God or Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it's not possible. The analytical study of the elements of material nature and the concentration of the mind upon the super soul are the sum and substance of the Sankhya philosophical system. The perfection of this Sankhya Yoga culminates in devotional service unto the absolute truth. So this is the perfection of Sankhya Yoga. And that also Kapil Dev told Mother Devahuti also in the beginning. So thus ends the 26th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto. So tomorrow we'll start the 27th chapter. So we'll stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so we'll stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hopefully Modi ji doesn't make any difficult announcements.